Hi, everyone. Welcome to Speak Podcast. I'm Angela Gabriel Bakang, your host for today. And in this episode, we are going to talk about design, vision, and the future of spaces together with none other than the Dean of the Department of Architecture, Ms. Vanessa Gaston Copeland.
Thank you so much, Angela,
So,
for having me.
yes, we're so happy to have you here. I know you're very busy, ma'am, but it's an honor
Yeah.
to be your host in this episode of Speak Podcast. So let's get started.
Yeah, sure.
So my first question, mga friends. So we know Ms. Vanessa Copeland is the Dean of the Department of Architecture. So how's your position changed the way you see architecture itself?
Well, it's changed my perspective of the architecture education completely. So, for the past 4 academic years, I've had the greatest honor being one of the design studio teachers in the Department of Architecture. But now that I have a higher perspective of our faculty, students, and staff, I get to see the whole ecosystem. So now I get to see that it's not just about the students, but actually empowering our teachers, the ones who hold the knowledge and who are the holders of the values that need to be shared with our students. So I guess it's kind of like having your own household. So you start with the parents first, right? And so that when we create that culture of parenting and agreeing amongst ourselves what's important for us to teach to the future generation of architects, then that's where I've begun. And hopefully, we're going to see the effects of that, the positive change that will hold with our department moving forward.
Wow, that is something really nice to all the teachers who are listening or watching today. That's very empowering. It's about taking care of a household. Okay, so
Yeah.
where do you see the program in 10 years?
In 10 years, I've been joking, but it might not be a joke, seeing how ambitious and how much of a dreamer I am and our teachers are in the department, that I personally think that we can be one of the best architecture schools within
Wow.
that time. Yeah, I was saying in 5 to 10 years for sure. We're seeing, because of the general culture of foundation being such a young and progressive school, it's so open to innovation and conversation. We're having a lot of dialogue of, sustainability goals, of AI, and all these relevant issues and ideas. And I think that's what's pushing us forward in our department, that we got that encouragement to say, okay, what's happening? Who can we invite? What can we do next? It's always about growth. And so this year we had a wonderful invitation from the College of St. Benilde to share our material research workshop that we did in our department here in Foundation to Manila. And because we know that right now, Manila usually is the center of design, right? And to see that shift where they're now interested in what we're doing here, and for us to be able to take it there is a great sign of where we're headed. So I think that, with all our keynote speakers for Open Studio, all the exchange programs that we're doing with international studios and international NGOs, I really do believe that in 10 years' time, it's generous to say that we're going to be one of the best architecture schools in the country.
Wow, that's really amazing. And speaking of growth, that actually reminds me of our university president. Okay, that's what he wants for the College of Architecture. So, does having a university president, shout out to Sir Dean Cinco, by the way, who is also an architect, affect or change the way the College of Architecture is understood or valued within the larger institution?
Well, it definitely is a plus. We
Yes.
do very much feel like we're the baby of the university.
Oh, he loves the college.
Yeah. um, what I really get from having Dean Cinco as our president, him being an architect, he really sees the value of creating a physical environment that's really conducive for learning and productivity. So it's like pareha sa ato ba, 'di ba? We want our environment to be the best case so that we can thrive. Murag tanom, 'di ba? And animals
Yeah,
and
we
humans,
nurture.
yeah, we need to feel nurtured so that we can bloom where we're planted, right? As they say. And so when we receive visitors here, they say, wow, like this has been the most beautiful campus we've
Yes.
ever seen. And so
Mm.
that's really objectively the biggest plus of having an architect as the president of the university is that we have this beautiful campus, and there is such a remarkable value given to facility for total wellness. Like with architecture, it's just not about providing the shell. Kanang basta na classroom okay na na. Diba? It's about refilling our water. Where do you pass? What do you see when you pass? You go through a garden. So it's that kind of thoughtfulness of an architect.
Holistic.
Yeah, wonderful to have for a leader.
Yes, I totally agree with you on that. In fact, no, sa mga alumni nga makita na ko sa gawas, before when somebody asked me how's FU, I would give a different answer. But this time, every time somebody asks how's FU, I have so much to brag about the school, like
Yeah,
everything, the
yeah,
holistic wellness that you've mentioned earlier.
yeah.
So shifting a little, Miss Gaston Copeland, what sets Foundation University's architecture program apart from other schools in the country?
Well, first of all, it's it has a Studio Damgo, right?
The
Which is
first design and build.
the only student-led studio. So for those who aren't familiar and listening to this podcast, instead of the usual thesis, theoretical thesis, our graduating students are part of a community project where they are required to build a sustainable structure or project for them to graduate. And these projects are usually community based. So we are able, through this program, to help the marginalized or those in need through a short listing of what we find locally needs our attention. So that is like the number one thing. And because of that, we have grown to be more aware of sustainability and community-centered values in the department. But all in all, like I mentioned earlier, it's really that openness, which I think we share with other departments,
Yes.
that there's not that hesitation. Usually people don't like change.
Yes.
They resist change. But I think that's the value that sets our department apart from other architecture schools, so that might be more institutions or they might be more established. We have the advantage of being young, so I think that works really well for us. We continue to review and change to improve our project briefs, our exercises that can be as much as semester to semester or year to year. We always constantly do a self critique of what didn't work, what we can do to improve.
improve.
So, yeah.
All right. And also earlier you mentioned about AI, which
Yeah.
leads me to this question. How do you think AI, digital modeling, and new materials would change the way you teach architecture?
So referring back to that openness, like we don't talk about AI with such a taboo. We welcome how, and we are true to how the world is changing. It starts first with an awareness and an education of what it is. So AI, artificial intelligence, is patterned after human reasoning, right? And we're still waiting for it to evolve to be at par with us. What it is right now, and it might change, is that it is one of the most valuable tools for a lot of professions, where it still needs us to cue it, right? So what it can do is really um, close the gap of like the long hours of architecture.
Yes.
If you're not familiar, like we sleep under our tables,
Yes.
we sleep on our desks because it's really a tedious job
Demanding.
and it's very demanding physically. And so I think that it can be a very valuable helper, um, but not to skip the critical thinking part. I
Exactly.
think that it shouldn't encourage laziness or
True.
shortcuts.
True.
In fact, it should be an add-on. It should, if you're already an A student, it should make you an A plus plus student if it can help you with the rendering. So we just make sure that in order for us not to skip the critical thinking part, we set limitations to when our students can use
Use
it.
AI.
So like maybe after the design process, to enhance their visuals, to enhance their 3D renderings, yes, we allow it, depending on their stage of learning. So right now, it still is a tool, like an add-on, it's an instrument, but we do welcome it with open arms. Anything to boost our work and productivity is
Yes.
really good for us.
Agree. Now, on the part of the students and instruction, how do you keep your students motivated through such, as we said, tedious or demanding program?
So we really have put a lot of weight on good values. So we try to teach them now that hard skills are very easily taught. You can even watch YouTube, you can just read a manual. For every profession, hard skills are just so easy now.
Yes.
But soft skills have
More.
become very, very rare. So we encourage them to say that in order for them to get to the finish line or to succeed after school, what they really have to like hone and really take care of while they're in school are things that are like discipline, honesty, being on time,
Yeah, work
professionalism,
ethics.
work ethic, you know this.
Yes.
So we try not to discriminate or other students who might not have gifts in art or architecture, but we really try to commend students who have good character. So I think that it levels the playing field and it keeps everyone motivated, knowing that through hard work, perseverance, honesty, and professionalism, that they can get to the finish line.
Yes. I agree. Technical skills are, they're really good, but without integrity and other work ethics, still nothing. So
Yeah.
speaking of skills, ma'am, so drawing skills is a must when you take architecture, right? So do you see a difference between students who take the program, who enter the program with strong drawing skills, and those who learn them along the way?
Mm. Um, that's something that we really have to admit is that it's very easy for us to identify students who have natural gift. But you would be surprised that that would be 10% of the population. Um, most of architecture is a learned skill.
Wow.
We'll probably have 3 brilliant students come through per batch. So there's this perception of architecture na dapat kabalo ka mag-drawing or maayo ka
Yes.
mag-art.
Common
That shouldn't
expectation.
deter aspiring architects when they apply for the program because really the drawing part is required. You'll have 2 painful subjects that you have to learn the technical drawing. But it's all guided. You use rulers, there are tools. It's not gonna matter in the end. Like when you're a professional, you end up just drawing on a table napkin or scratch paper,
Really?
freehand. And
Wow, that's my first time hearing about that.
yeah, and you have your computers now as well. So it's more like a rites of passage to learn how to draw. But in the end, apart from the soft skills that we were talking about earlier, what truly matters in being an architect is critical thinking and problem solving skills. So, architecture really is how to respond to problems we see in society.
Okay, so
Yeah.
wow, that actually, I have another question that I forgot to ask you earlier. So when you look at your students' projects, because we're talking about outputs of the students and how they, the drawing skills, what do you first notice? Is it the idea, or is it the execution, or the imagination behind it?
Uh, it's the idea and the imagination, right? It's
Yes.
like, oh, I see what you're trying to do here, especially on the level of teachers who have the experience and have been around for years. The execution is something that needs to mature most of the time, right? But what matters the most and has the most weight is how they were able to process problems and how they were trying to respond to it. So that's what we usually notice first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you describe yourself as an architect and maybe other architects?
Yeah. So I think earlier I mentioned to you that I refer to myself as the anti architect,
Yes.
mostly because I'm a young brown woman. And I think the stereotype for an architect is a strong male personality with a big ego, and it's my way or the highway. Um, I in a recent interview actually described my practice as very understanding, and we really espouse empathy. So it's very different because we take a lot of feminine energy into our practice, me and my team. Being in a woman led studio, it really sets us apart. Like we want to listen first before we want to speak. And we really try to understand on different levels, like when we're providing a space, is this what really works for this individual, for their family, for their social functions, for their hobbies? What do they really like to do? Um, and and it's very different from the very fast paced, just get it done kind of architecture. So I think that I would say that I'm from a new generation and a new kind of
You have this more
thinking.
empathy in you. Okay. But you're very beautiful for an architect.
Thank you.
Yes. And since you also mentioned already about Studio Damgo, we are now on its 14th edition, correct?
Yes,
14th? Yes.
14.
Could you describe a project that, in your perspective, captures the spirit of Studio Damgo?
So this year, we're doing a very unique project for a group of senior women in Valencia. We're going to be helping the Books on Wheels. It's a mobile library to help with the functional illiteracy problem in the Philippines, which means a lot of students go through school but still somehow end up not applying themselves.
Yes.
So this group of women, they're just familiarizing children with storytelling, how to read a book, and the joy of reading. And it's a very small gesture, but I really think that it's a kind of project that will turn ripples into waves. That's what I really love about Estudio Damgo, that it might be seemingly small.
Is it a vehicle?
It's a chariot.
Mm.
Katubang magbao-bao,
Yes.
like, yeah. So we're going to fit out a chariot and make it transform into a library wherever it may park. So it's going to be around different barangays in Valencia, and we're going to be doing fundraising, maybe a
Okay.
fun run, maybe some games. We don't know
Okay.
yet, but it's very, a lot of it is about immersing ourselves into the community and really helping out in different ways apart from the physical output that we need to accomplish.
Okay, so a lot of people already know that there's always sustainability as a main ingredient in Studio Damgo projects. So, do we still use some materials like bamboo with this?
Yes. Yeah.
Really?
Sustainable in the sense that it might be found objects, upcycled materials. Maybe we'll go to material recovery facilities. Maybe we'll do a material drive. We don't know yet. We're still in the process of figuring out the best solution, and we're keeping ourselves open to people who might contribute ideas as well. So,
That's really nice. A mobile library.
yes.
A first.
Yes, and the women of Valencia are hoping that it will be a pilot project, kind of a model for other LGUs, not just here in Negros Oriental, but all around the Philippines and maybe even Southeast Asia. So it's really about the idea and having that idea breed more
More.
in different places.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's really beautiful. It's very inspiring. I'm actually excited while listening to you right now. I wonder how it looks like. I'm
Yeah.
sure it's always something unique.
Yes.
Every project, a studio double project, is always something unique and beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so to all our viewers out there, I hope you are happy with our discussion today. That wraps our episode for Speak Podcast. And once again, big thank you to Miss Vanessa Gaston Copeland for inspiring us to see spaces differently. And to everyone, please don't forget to follow us for more bold conversations. Until next time, friends. So keep speaking up and keep building ideas that matter.